Are you ready to experience a miracle this Mother's Day? Join us this Mother's Day for an upcoming event with Santa Muerte. This is not your typical Mother's Day event. We're bringing together the power of Santa Muerte and the energy of this special day to facilitate miraculous, life-changing events for all our participants. You'll be surrounded by a community of like-minded individuals who are all seeking to manifest their deepest desires and to transform their lives. Whether you're hoping to find love, improve your finances, your health, or maybe just overcome a particular obstacle, the power of Santa Muerte can make that happen for you. Register now for our Mother's Day event with Santa Muerte and watch your miracles unfold. And welcome. Blah, blah. What's going on? Shout out to everybody. It's Tuesday. I felt inspired to make this quick. It's going to be a brief. I'm not going to be here that long. Why? Because I want to eat. I haven't ate all day, and it's that time. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to everybody who is watching, all whopping three of you, you know what I'm saying? Hey, it doesn't matter. Like, good energy is good energy. But so this is a very special edition of Master Your Magic. I entitled it Love Spells Gone Wrong. Okay. I have 3 little anecdotal stories. One never before told. Okay. Involving yours truly. All right. Yes, I caught a little flack from some of my own shit. Okay. So I would like to say that I can certainly understand how these things can go wrong. But of course, hindsight is 2020. And when looking back, you can often see, if you look for it, what mistakes you might have made. And it's okay to make mistakes. We all do. We're going to continue to make mistakes, but as long as you learn about your mistakes. Quick announcements also. Today is the last night that you can claim your 7 Power Muerte Miracle Bag. Okay. As I've described this many times before, it is basically a mojo bag. However, it's not just a mojo bag. All right. First of all, we're going to be consecrating this in the Mother Knows Best ritual that we're doing on Mother's Day. All right. With none other than La Santísima Muerte. That's right. So these are going to be consecrated there and then sent out to you. All right. So shout out to everyone who's claimed theirs already. I'm going to shut it down in about 5 to 6 hours. I know my time's a little different than the regular human time. So y'all get a little bit of extra play on that. So I wanted to tell you, though, because some people were asking me questions about that. So I just wanted to just briefly go over that. And then I'm going to get into this love stuff. OK, how it can go bad. I'm sure some of you have experienced. You guys got your own stories. If you have your own love spells gone wrong spell, please send it to me either at AskShango@gmail.com or even just put it in the comments. I would love to hear your stories if you have any. All right. So one thing about this bag and in dealing with Santísima Muerte, as far as, because like if you've seen when we're talking about this ritual coming up, she could be your one-stop shop, basically, if you so chose, because she pretty much has dominion over all areas of life because she's death. All right. And whether that's finances, whether that's love, whether that's, legal matters, health matters, protection, spiritual matters, Hey, what's going on, everybody in the chat? Let me just say hey to everybody here in the chat. So if you're watching the rebroadcast, hey, just, Nikki24, Celestial Earth Goddess, PG, Susie C, my crazy Canadian, shout out to you, Ara, the Aqua. Okay. So anyways, part of the point of this is obviously to establish a point of contact with those who want to take it a little bit extra with the ritual. Like, you can just do the ritual and get a lot of effect from that, ongoing effect, right? I kind of look at some things like, okay, if you're going to do a ritual or spell one time, it's kind of like going and getting a haircut or getting your hair done one time. Yes, it will last a certain amount of time, right? But then what's going to happen? You're going to need maintenance, right? You're going to need to do something, to maintain or to rejuice it or to whatever you want to call it, right? So with the reason why I love just mojo bags in general, mojo bags essentially are a spell in a bag, or as I like to call them, like an algorithm in a bag, right? And they keep going. The more you keep working with them, the more they keep going. And the stronger they get, because they get momentum right along with you, right? So that's one of the benefits of having your 7-power MUERTE miracle bag, okay? The other thing is, you're going to notice this for yourself. There's going to be a transference of a strange confidence, a strange assuredness. You're not going to know where it's coming from, because as you go through your life, there's still going to be situations where you're not going to know precisely play by play how it's going to play out for you. That's life. Welcome to the club. Okay. Welcome to the club. So that's always going to be there. However, you do not have to, live in anxiety, live in fear, stressing yourself out, over certain outcomes and things. So that's another thing that I didn't really mention or really didn't speak on that comes with this bag, believe it or not. Okay. Because it allows you to kind of get, in working with any kind of deity, in my opinion, it allows a psychological kind of advantage sometimes, depending on how you look at it, because it allows you to get outside of yourself. And when I say yourself, for this conversation, yourself is often like an amalgamation of all your experiences, all your memories, all that stuff, your fears, your doubts, and even your confidences, all that up until this very point. How many times have you felt really bad, or you were stressing about something, and then you were just like, you know what, I'm going to go help this person, or you seen someone that needed help, and just from your heart, you decided to help them. And you noticed, I wasn't thinking about me or my problems. You know what I'm saying? So it gives you also space away from that. It gives you an opportunity to engage with a power or force that would seem to be outside of you. Now, I'm not going to debate whether it's coming from within you or coming from out externally, as long as it assists you in creating change, manifesting some change, and also changing yourself. Who cares, right? So that's a big, huge part of dealing. So it's more than just a bag of herbs and some crystals and some other little things. And plus, I'm also making each one just a little bit different. I'm not saying like I'm doing a reading, but for each particular recipient, I'm customizing it for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm customizing it for you. I'm not just doing the same exact formula in each bag. That's not what I'm doing. And the bags are also going to look different. What's up? All right. So let's move on from that. But anyways, today is your last night to get that. You can still enter into the mother knows best. Mother knows best. And I'm going to tell you why. You want an otherworldly wisdom before you cast your spells, before you do your rituals. Okay. Oftentimes it pays. All right. So anyways, most people do love spells out of fear. Let's face it, right? Usually it's kind of like either some kind of a fear of a loss or something like that. Not all the time, Some people actually do them to enhance what's already there. Those are great. You know what I'm saying? That's a great thing, I think. You will also find it a lot of times in certain situations when you do love spells. You need to be aware of the fact that everything is going to be, when you do magic, when you do sorcery, everything is magnified. Okay. So that's the good, bad, the beautiful, and the fugly. Everything is magnified a lot of times. Okay. If a love spell will get you to start maybe paying attention to how you've been denying yourself certain kinds of love that you've been looking for from this other person, that's a win to me. All right. I've explained this before, but I stand on this particular square. You are a portal. Okay. You're like a portal. Think of yourself as like a portal, right? Whatever you feed into yourself, you're going to see the manifestations from external coming. And I swear to God, they're in direct correlation to what you are giving yourself and or denying yourself, depending on what that is. Sometimes denying is a good thing. I'm not saying it's bad. So, hey, Shaw, what's going on? New Occult Classics, shout out. The gods are here. So please keep that in mind, because you really can't, you can only circumvent the law so many times. Like if you're not giving it to yourself, you know what I'm saying? Or if you are doing spells out of some type of codependency, which is what I did. Okay. And I'm going to get into a story, a never before shared story, anecdote. All right. On how Papa Shanquito shot himself in the foot. I wouldn't say it's a love spell, but it was more of I'll tell you about it. But what's up, J-Lo? So I wanted to give you just, you know me, I like to make things practical. I like to make things applicable, maybe something that you can get to going with as soon as you get off this live or whatever, this video, okay? And like I said, a lot of times, most problems with spells and rituals could be solved before you even cast that motherfucker. Before you even cast it, okay? If people thought just a little bit more strategically, and I had to learn this the hard way too, okay? If people just thought a little bit more strategically, it would make shit so much more easier. All right, let me explain what I mean. As you probably all know, our minds seem to gravitate towards the negative a lot easier than the positive. Like you got to really you got to be really consistent with your programming as far as the positive goes, right? So we can look at this and like criticize it or be like, why is it like that? It is what it is. Okay. Some people say, well, we have these things hardwired into us for survival because we got to look out for threats and stuff like that. I could see some validity in that, or, you know, I'm not saying it's not true. So we might as well utilize it. So I'm going to give you something right now that you can do. Actually, you can apply what I'm about to give you right now, whether you're doing spells and rituals or whether you're just, you know, setting some goals or intentions for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're going to start a business, or if you're going to, you know, get on some health regimen or whatever, you can apply what I'm about to give you to anything. But since we're talking about love spells, I figure you should probably give it a go with your love work, or to see. All right. So let me explain what this is. I call this inverse reversal sorcery. I was going to call it reversal, but people are going to think reversals means like I'm sending bad shit back to somebody else. So in this case, that's not what I'm referring to. All right. This is what I mean by that. Inverse means it refers to inverse thinking. Okay. Now, this was first termed by some damn mathematician. He would take complex math problems and he would flip them upside down. He would inverse them. Okay. And then that's how he would arrive at his answers. After that, Warren Buffett's like main homeboy, who's also like a multi billionaire, he would use this same thought process. This is a thought process. Okay. This is a thought process. So what you want to do is, in any type of situation, so let's just say love situation, you would want to go ham, okay, and list out all the shit. Like, okay, so let's say if it's about getting a lover, I'm just going to use a very rough example off the top of my head, right? If it's getting a lover or maintaining a lover, maybe you're in a relationship and you're like, shit's starting to slip away, right? So some of the things you can do is you would write out like, okay, well, if I wanted to just totally trash this relationship, if I wanted to make a big ball of shit out of it, what are the things that I would want to do, right? Obviously, that's not what you want to do. but you want to start there. So then you start listing out all the things that someone who has a very shitty relationship or who's going to lose their relationship would do. You just let your imagination run wild, right? Most of us are pretty good at worrying. So you can use that in this instance. All right. So you write down all the shit that you don't want to happen or that would contribute to you not getting what you want. Once you have this list, you could just choose some, because obviously it's going to be the opposite of that. So you might want to cast for certain things that are the opposite of that. All right. This is a good way to, because a lot of times, a lot of people have you'd be surprised how many people have a hard time, telling me what it is that you truly want. Because a lot of times the first answer, the first 2, 3, 4, 5 answers is not really it. Like I can already tell it's not it. We got to go a little bit deeper. So another way to kind of circumvent this is to think of, like, I guess you could say, the negative parts. Now, you can also use this in other situations where what might possibly go wrong, right? It's not that you're trying to call that to yourself, but we live in a world where shit can, shit has to happen. Things happen. So if you list and prepare for certain things, just in case they do, you're able to be more relaxed, more confident, more calm, because you kind of already know, okay, well, if this happens, this is what I'm going to do, as opposed to just blindly just, trying to be so positive that, and you're like, no, nothing can go wrong. Like often I've always said this, life is a zigzag. It's not a straight line. So you might as well prepare for some of the zigs and some of the zags, because they're going to be there. It'd be kind of stupid not to, right? Yes, JLo says, get to the root of it. So in exploring your fears and what you don't want to happen, you will be surprised as to what comes up. You might even have some great ahas and epiphanies. So I just started like kind of working with this as it relates to magic and as it relates to sorcery, right? So I'm giving you kind of like the beta version of it right now, but if that makes sense, I mean, hey, take this for a test run. I'm telling you, it's a different way of thinking, because I'm always telling you, focus on what you truly desire, right? But sometimes that's a very foggy area for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? So this is a way to really to circumvent that. And you're also embracing what you might be afraid of. In other words, you're not pushing against it. It gives your fears, your doubts, whatever, a chance to kind of come to the surface. And then you can have a more objective perspective about them, as opposed to trying to avoid them and be like, no, they don't. You're trying to affirm them away. Like they're not going away, yo. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's one thing I would suggest to do before you do love work. And there's a reason why I'm telling you that. I was having a conversation today with my mommy. You know what I'm saying? With Ma Dukes. And she had asked me about a particular situation years ago. And I got to tell this story because this is a prime example. Now, this is not a love spell per se. All right. But at the time, this was years ago. Like I said, this was probably like damn near about maybe 10 years ago. All right. So this was like 10 years ago. 10 years ago. All right. Shango was very dependent on validation from women. Like he needed it. It was like a drug. Okay. I'm going to be honest with you. I was. All right. I really was. I wasn't validating myself. I would judge, my whole validation was based on how many necks can I snap? Is this bitch looking at me? Just to me, I look back on it and I laugh because that shit's weak. You know what I'm saying? Like, who gives a shit? Right? You have to validate yourself. That should be numero uno. Yes, validation's good. We all love validation. We're humans also, so every human loves validation. All right. So there was this one time. Okay. And it's like, let me preface this. I had badder bitches than this bitch, but I decided to make her my experiment because she wasn't responding or acting in the way that I thought she should. Yeah. No, this was like over 10 years ago. This was a long time ago, Huhi. This was a long time ago. Okay. So she wasn't doing what, like, and she started like, because I'm used to them kind of like, it was in the sales world, we call it a lay down, right? When you call somebody and they just like, sure, where do I sign? How much? Here's my credit card. That's a lay down. But when somebody challenges you, it's different. You know what I'm saying? So yes, there's a free spell that I give away on my YouTube channel in which involves a glass or a cup, and you put the person's favorite drink in there. Okay. And then you put their picture in upside down and you do some things. I'm not going to go over it. It's on my channel. It's one of my playlists is free rituals. It's in there. So it's not necessarily a love spell, but it's a spell to really start to intrude and be on somebody's mind. It can create kind of an obsessive type of vibe, depending on, it also depends on the person, depends on who's casting, stuff like that. It can also work in reverse. People don't talk about that a lot, but like sometimes doing too many love spells on somebody, that means you obsessed. That means you're jujuing yourself, right? So this broad started to seemingly acquiesce to my will. In other words, do what the fuck I want, right? Yes, Hui, you're right about that. You're absolutely right about that. So anyways, she started doing what I want, right? So let's put it this way. This broad ends up saying, I'm pregnant. And at first I'm just kind of like, because I'm not in the ideal situation to be bearing no kids at this time. Not even close, right? So I'm like, I kind of took her word for it. Mistake number one. All right. So one time we're in a grocery store and we're going past like the aisle where like, the pregnancy tests are. All of a sudden, I heard this voice say, tell her to buy a pregnancy test. So I said, hey, why don't we get a pregnancy test? Because you've been saying, yeah, but you ain't tested yet, right? Okay, well, why don't this bitch started, like, total just like, got pissed off. Body language, tone, everything was just off, right? And I remember because this happened during a Labor Day weekend. Get it? Labor, pregnancy, labor, right? And I remember that once that happened, that incident in the store, my whole attitude was fucked off, right? Because I would go out of town to go visit her. So I was like almost like waiting, like I can't wait to get the hell up out of here. Like, because why should it be a problem for you to take a piss test? What's the deal with that, right? So then I come back to where I'm at. I leave, and then afterwards, after the weekend's over, and she's still sticking to her story, right? And so during the week, like, we start really getting into it a lot. And I'm talking mad shit at this point in time, right? I'm talking mad shit. This bitch is like classic fucking narcissist. And I don't use that word lightly, but in hindsight, just, yeah. Okay, but so then she says, well, I'll tell you what. Because I usually would, take a train and shit up to where I was going. And she's like, well, when I pick you up from the train station, I will go into the train station bathroom, and I'll take a piss test. I'll do it for you. I'm like, okay, well, guess what? I'm bringing the pregnancy test. So I'm going to be the one with the prayer. I'll hand you the shit. How about that? She was like, okay. So when I finally get there, I give her the damn pregnancy test. We don't even exchange pleasantries. I'm just like, here you go. It's still in the foil. You know what I mean? It's still in the foil. I give her the shit. Like, get to it. So she scurries off to the bathroom. I'm sitting there about 5 minutes. 5-10 minutes. It's like a busy time at this particular train station, so it's like everything is busy. A lot of people running in and out. So she comes back out, and she has this look of vindication on her face, and she shows me the stick, right? I'll be goddamn, there's 2 lines on this stick. So I was just like, oh, man, I am sorry. Because she told me during the week while we're arguing on the phone and shit, she was like, I'm going to show you that I'm right, and you're going to be kissing my ass. I said, you know what? If you are right, I will be kissing your ass, like profusely. Okay. You got that. All right. So she shows me the test, two fucking lines. All right, shit. I'm thinking like, damn, what an asshole I am. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm such a fucking asshole. So this weekend goes by, and I was going to the train station in the morning. She was going to take me to the train station in the morning. So everyone's asleep that night, right before the morning. And this is not something I typically do, but I swear to God, like, I was asleep, nice and comfortable, right? This particular weekend, many nuts a bust. So I'm sleeping quite well. All right. All of a sudden, like out of an Exorcist movie, like, you know how when someone just like pops up, it was like something pulled me up, right? And I swear to God, like, I had this weird feeling, almost like I was going to be sick, but it was like anxiety. I didn't know how to explain this to you, like what it was, this type of feeling, right? And it just said, don't laugh at me. It said, check her motherfucking phone. I'm like, what? Oh, dude, like, so I fucking get up. I creep around to the thing. I get the goddamn phone and I look, and I'm like, I'm not seeing nothing. I'm like, okay, looking through threads. Then I see another thread. And I'm like, I open it. For some reason, it just said that one. So I open it up and I scroll down. It's not a long thread. It's just, there's some. But first messages from her, like, hey, how's your pregnancy going? To some bitch. And this bitch, oh, it's cool. I just blah, 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 blah. It's like, look, I need a favor. I'll explain later in more detail, but I need to buy some piss from you. I read that shit, man. I wanted to field goal kick that bitch for real. But I had to play it off. So I was just like, I'm going to play this off. But I already knew what I had to do. I was just like, shit, once I get to the train station, I'm going to be like, man, fuck you. But my point is this. All right, let's just bring it all the way home. My point is this. In hindsight, of course, like, is that even a person worthy of wasting my time doing something like this just to prove something to myself? My ego was out of control back then. So that's a big part of it too. I'm gonna keep it real. And you know what? That's on me. I did that to myself. You know what I mean? That's a perfect example of when you're not giving yourself, like, for example, like I told you, I was really like addicted to the validation of women. And I needed that for my self-worth. If these bitches ain't paying attention, I ain't worth shit. That's how I felt. And you know what? There were incidences that would somehow pop up sometimes. Well, not too many, but that one right there was like a face breaker. Like, and here I go swishing a cup for you, bitch. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I look, you know me, I keeps it real. I'm gonna be transparent with you. Have I done stupid shit before? Absolutely. Very much so. But you gotta, you know, I'm just saying there's a lot of people doing love spells in situations, and in your heart, you do know better, but you're going against that. I'm not gonna tell you not to. That's fine. You're gonna see for yourself. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. And of course, yes, as the years go by and I'm getting more and more into my work, my shadow work, stuff like that, I started realizing all this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever it is that you think you're getting from anyone outside of you, you got to give it to yourself first and foremost, and then watch the quality of that you get back. Because the new people that come in, you know, when you start getting your frequency, that's part of getting your frequency right. You know what I'm saying? Yes. I thank you, PG. I had to give you the exclusive though. You know what I'm saying? This actually happened. This real shit. And it's like the ends that some people will go. And mind you, at this time too, I'm gonna be all, I'm not just gonna, I might as well tell them myself too. Like, I'm doing the most. I'm doing the absolute most. I'm lying to several bitches at this time. So like, if you're not living your life in it, that's where, you know, after a while, I started to see why living with integrity is so important. Besides the fact that when you're living a lie and you're lying to a lot of people, you're leaking life force, you're leaking chi, you're leaking prana. Okay, that's number one. But just number two is just like, if you got to lie to keep somebody or to whatever, like, it's just, you're just doing something wrong. And then I challenged myself and I'm like, if you really that motherfucker, then you should be able to tell the truth and you should be able to live your life like that. And whoever's with it, and I prefer it that way anyways, because I'd rather you know what you're getting into. I'm going to spill it all out. I'm going to lay it all out for you. And then it's your choice. But I'd rather you make an informed choice than me doing all this shit. And it's like, it's cowardly to me. Now that I look at it, like, I was a fucking coward. I was a fucking coward. That's what I was. And I could say it to you with a straight face, convicted as fuck. Like, I was a fucking coward, because that's what that shit is. You know what I'm saying? If you can do your thing, you should be able to do your thing honestly. Like, why you ain't got a lie to kick it, real? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, here you are speaking to. Yeah, it's nah, I didn't field goal kick her, but I let her have it as soon as I got out of Dodge, you know, because I started thinking strategy wise, like, how many ways this can go wrong right now, and I want to get the fuck out of here. So I was hours away from my home, so I'm like, I'm just gonna play the role, and like, when I say play the role, I just mean keep this shit to myself until I can get the fuck out of here, and then I'm gonna say it, and then I'm gonna let this bitch have it. I'm gonna blast this bitch. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's and then sometimes obviously the best thing to just do with something like that is just leave it the fuck alone. If that ain't a fucking sign to leave that shit alone. And how many of us, ladies, how many of us have been in relationships that you know, and you already know, you know the signs. You women are intuitive as fuck, like, naturally. Okay, you know the sign. You already know. I seen somebody posted a meme with this broad talking, and she was like, fellas, you don't even know, but when we as women, she was saying, we know when there's another bitch present. We don't have to see her, smell her, whatever. Like, we just start to, because they know the change in you. And then there's other people who go deeper onto that, where it's like, if you done nutted in her and exchanged fluids and stuff, now there's a real connection, you know, an etheric connection, and information goes to and fro through that connection. And women are really good at picking up that shit. To whereas us, you know, we're kind of like, a lot of times we're more hard-headed. We're not paying attention. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. So there's one story. Okay. Now, even further back than that, before there was it, I don't even think I had a cell phone at this time. A genetic kiss. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can call it that. Yeah. Hey, see, that's what she was mentioning this too. Look. She said his dumbass changed half an inch, and boom, exactly. That's what she was talking about. She was saying that type of shit. Like, look, we noticed how you start walking different. Maybe your mannerisms change a little bit. Because what you can't really change is a lot of times you will pick up shit from whoever especially if you're exchanging that sexual energy. You know, so Back in my days as a street distributor of the finest Perico, all right. One of my customers, what's going on, Mexico? So one of my customers, one of my customers was this dude, and there used to be this bar called the La Fama Bar, and there was this place in town where it was like a bunch of abandoned buildings and shit like that. Everyone would go sell their stuff, get their stuff off here. They used to have hella hoes and pimps out there and shit like that. This dude, he was one of my customers. I mean, he was everybody's customer, you know what I'm saying? But he would spend, you know what I'm saying? And one day I'm outside of the bar, and he was trying to get me to give him credit. So for those of you who don't know, it means you give them your stuff and then they pay you back later, or later that night, or whatever it's supposed to be. They're going to bring that money back, supposedly. But I didn't give credit. You know what I'm saying? I usually don't end good, you know? So he was telling me a story, and I'm actually making this into a Tales of the Occult Side, which there's a brand new episode. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but tomorrow we have a brand new episode of Tales from the Occult Side dropping. It's been a long minute. It's been a long little break, but I got a lot of more heat for you. So the next episode's coming, but I'm not going to get too much into this story because I'll just give you the rough, because I was actually going to make an episode of Tales of the Occult Side on this dude, right? So this dude was telling me a story on how he was from LA and he was seeing some dude who was like going to get married, right? Or was married. So he was going to see some dude, whatever, who's going to get married. This dude's like, and the dude who's going to get married is like secretly gay or some shit like that. And so he was telling me that he ended up going to a well-known warlock in that neighborhood of LA, East, wherever he was at, East, somewhere in Southern California. And he had him do a spell because the dude ends up telling my customer, I can't see you no more, you know? I'm going to try and be right, you know, because I'm supposed to be. He was like, I'm supposed to be straight, and he's getting married, and his wife to be is now pregnant. This infuriated my customer. So my customer felt left out in the cold, dejected, all that good stuff. So he goes to see a well-known warlock in that area. And this warlock owned a bar. And he tells the warlock, you know, what he in his ignorance, he thought the wife being pregnant was what made the other dude decide what he decided. So he thought, I'll take care of the problem, which is the pregnancy. So the warlock tells him, hey, you know, all right, you sure you want to do this? Because there's consequences for this one. Just telling you. Dude was like, I don't care. Dude was like, I want this dude. So he was like, okay, well, come at this time on this day to the bar, you know, when it's closed. There was like a back room. Apparently he had like some ritual room back there. He told me some of the things that the warlock had him do. And one of the things that he had to do was there was an effigy of the pregnant woman, right? So they did a bunch of shit, but he had him like just sticking all kinds of pins in the effigy's stomach. And my customer was in love with that dude, right? So he was like, you know, love will make you do some crazy shit, right? Yeah. So he was getting busy with the whatever. And from what I understand, there was also some animal sacrificing and stuff like that. So fast forward a little bit, and I believe the wife to be got into a car accident. And during this car accident, she lost the baby. You know what I'm saying? And the husband to be, or the father of that child, or whatever, he kind of lost his shit. You know what I'm saying? He was very depressed about that. He didn't understand why this was happening. And so I guess he started like wilding out some, because he was like really depressed and all this stuff. And I don't know all the details as far as that, but he kind of started seeing my customer again, right? Well, apparently after their exchange and stuff like that, because my customer was pretty good on the health tip, I guess. Apparently this dude, when I say he was wilding out, he was wilding out with more than just my customer, right? He ended up giving my customer HIV, which turned into full-blown AIDS. And I don't know what got him up to Northern California, but that was also part of the reason why he was like ripping and running, and like he looked homeless, kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like you could just tell people with pharmaceutical spirits on them, like you could just tell that I can tell a crack pharmaceutical spirit from a meth pharmaceutical spirit. Like they have distinct, how can I say this? Like, I guess there's just something about it, you know what I'm saying? So he obviously was like whatever, but he was just, you could tell, like even just in the short time that I did business with him, I could see his physical appearance more and more just starting to decay and deteriorate. And obviously the drugs ain't helping, right? He did express that he felt very guilty afterwards too, so that ain't going to help anything either. But yeah, so I don't know whatever happened to him. I don't know. I'm sure he's passed away by now. I would bet money he's passed away from there. But my point is, yeah, that cost him a whole lot more than he thought. And he acted impulsively. And I guess he apparently loved that dude or whatever. I don't know, whatever, but that was not the way to go. That was not the way to go, I guess. So yeah, people are saying karma is real in the chat. Shit, there's cause and effect. We live in this cause and effect matrix. That's very real, and every cause has an effect, and every effect has a cause. So I say all of these stories to say, back to that whole, like, think about what you're doing before you do it. You don't have to be a guest on my Love Spells Gone Wrong episode. You know what I'm saying? But I know the second one was a very extreme example. I got another one that I'll just share. I'm just going to be extremely brief with this. I actually made a video of this a while back, but and some of the details kind of escaped me a little bit. But there was a woman who I know who did a love spell on a younger dude, right? On a younger dude. And eventually he kept, there was a whole other story I don't want to get into behind it. But this guy ended up beating the shit out of her in her own home. This is back when people had landlines in their home, right? Yanked all the damn phones out of the out of the phone jacks and stuff like that. So I don't even know if she had a cell phone. I think she may have. Pretty sure she did. But he took that, and I think he even beat her ass with one of the phones. And if you remember, some of them landline phones were kind of heavy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking about like them old schooly ones, He cracked the shit out of her. I mean, put it this way. She was almost dead. One of her youngest son found her, looked around, ran around the house, found one of the phones just like strewn about, got the phone, plugged it back in, called 911. And then it started this big old fucking thing where she was in the hospital for a long time. Okay. To this day. Now, she was in a diaper. She had to learn how to talk again. And she still don't talk right. It's like she's not the same. I'll say Raquel. She's not the same Raquel that she was pre-ass whooping, right? That ass whooping. But again, another example of, and this kind of also boils down to like, be careful what the fuck you ask for, because you just might get it. The problem is you don't know all that you're getting. You feel me? So yeah, he busted her with everything. It seemed like her head was cracked open and shit. You know what I'm saying? They had to shave her head. You know, she was partying and smoking and doing all that like beforehand, and like afterwards when she was in the hospital, my ex was telling me, one of my exes was telling me, because one of my exes was her cousin. So one of my exes was telling me, yeah, they had her in the hospital. They had all these tubes in her. And I guess after you've been smoking a lot and all this stuff, after a while, when your body starts to like, she was like, all this gray sludge was coming out of these tubes. That was from her lungs. You know what I'm saying? So like, she's very fortunate to be around today. She's still around. She's still alive, you know, but I mean, when shit, you really got to know, you really want to make sure is what I'm saying. You really want to vet somebody before you just go throwing love spells and stuff like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is my stories, my brief stories, some of them. Love spells gone wrong. And if you make your bed, you will have to lie in it. That's all I'm saying. You know, I would highly suggest more so doing love spells to enhance self-love, to cultivate more self-love. If you're in a relationship, you know, enhancing those things that facilitate a good relationship. You know what I'm saying? All those things are great kinds of love spells. But when you start kind of going against the grain, and I mean, sometimes there's a time and a place. I believe there's a time and a place for everything, right? But just if you even look back into your own life, how many times you made moves out of emotion, out of impulsiveness? Most of the time, correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably regret it, right? Or the outcome is, there's a good chance that you made the outcome worse. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying. I do love work, obviously. So like, you know, but there's plenty of times where I just, no. I've had to turn away a lot of people. And I mean, not all money is good money. Not all money is good money. In general, I don't like turning away money. You know what I'm saying? But not all money is good money. You know, and there's other things more important than just the money as far as that. Because there's always going to be another client, you know. So why take up my time with the client? And I can clearly see, because I got an objective perspective on the situation. And even just the way they're telling me things and stuff, I can tell sometimes when they try and lie and manipulate, you know, because a lot of times people will try and do that. If you're a spiritual practitioner or provider, you got your share of people who want to try and use you like as just a tool. So they will lie and tell you whatever they can to get you to start doing some things, you know. Let me see here. Let's go to some of the commentos. All right. What's that? Nikki says, oh my God, I should have waited. I thought I was where I wanted to be for a lifetime until he showed himself after his mother's death. I bonded myself to a narcissist. Now I'm stuck trying to. That is my case. And you know what? First of all, Nikki 24, thank you for your transparency and even sharing that. But that is a prime example of what I'm talking about, you know? And especially with like some of this binding. See, this is the thing about binding that people don't understand when it comes to binding love work. Okay. The the spell means you are bound to that person. More than likely, just like Nikki's saying, you don't really know that person, but it's too late in a sense because you've bound yourself to this person. So even though a binding does not guarantee y'all are going to be in love, a binding does not guarantee you're even going to be in like a relationship per se, right? But there's always going to be that connection, that and that particular energetic connection, in my experience and in my opinion, is like it can affect all your other subsequent relationships that you may, that you may want to try and get into. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very difficult thing to get out of. Some things are just so difficult to get out of once you get into them. So that's what I'm saying. Please think before you go and do all of that. You know what I'm saying? Hide current comment. Prophetess says, and it makes it, yes, hold on. I'm sorry, Prophetess. I got to put that. Exactly. It makes it twice as hard to separate. It does. It does. Because think about it. When you binding somebody, you're not just putting a spell on them. You're putting a spell on yourself too. So you're in the shit too. Like binding takes two, right? Just by definition of the word, you're attaching two things, right? So you're one of the things. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you live and you learn. You're going to have to, Nikki, you're going to have to do more. You're going to have to be consistent with like the cord removals and stuff like that. And depending on what and how you did stuff, I'm going to put it, I'm not even going to say this publicly, but yeah. I'll say this. When you bind yourself to somebody, especially in like these spiritual types of ways, these ritualistic ways and spiritual ways where it is extremely difficult. And even if you can get away, there's still something a lot of times. There's a shadow of something, you know what I mean? Like it's an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing thing. You know what it kind of reminds me of? Something that almost, it seems like it doesn't have anything to do with it, but there was this group of young boys, teenage boys, and one of the boys said to the other boy, "I dare you to lick that snail," right? So the boy went and he licked the snail. And then a few days later, that kid started getting sick, right? And next thing you know, like a long story anyways, he got some type of fucking parasite in him that started eating his brain, right? Irreversibly. And I believe he lived out the rest of his life. I don't know how many years, but like just more vegetable as time went on until finally he checked out. But what a way to go from one decision. And thank you for that, Magick, because you're absolutely right. Look at you shining on the wall of fame, Magick. Okay. Sometimes cutting the cord is harder than the bind itself. I'm telling you, man, that motherfucker get in there and it's like you're ripping out chunks of yourself to get free of that, you know? And let me say this though, for all who actually have done that, you can get past it. And you can have a great relationship. You can, attract higher quality partners or a partner that you want or whatever. But it's not going to be easy. It is not going to be easy. And there still may be like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like once you get away from it, sometimes it's like one of them tentacles come right back on, So it's like you gotta really be careful, man. That's why I say like I wouldn't even. at this point in time, I wouldn't even do that shit, you know, because one, I'm a Sagittarius and I just kind of have a live and let live ideology about things. Like, okay, because there's always a next bus, there's always a next train, there's always a next partner, there's always a next something. So it's like, why? It just, oh man, it's tough. Phyllis says, like almost like an energy vampire. Yeah, it gets to be that way. And sometimes you'll be vamping off them and they'll be vamping off you. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, but it does make it very difficult to move on, because the ghost of that relationship and those experiences, that shit stays with you. So that's also why you need to double down on your shadow work, not just removing cords. I say removing cords as opposed to cutting cords, because it's like, I look at the way I have it in my mind is like the cords are like weeds, right? What happens if you just cut the weed, right? The shit grows right back, right? Versus actually removing it from the root, you know? And you're the root in this case, your side of it anyway. So that's where shadow work really comes in. That's why shadow work is so important for all these things. Shah, you know what I'm saying? Archer Nation. Yes. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. I really am. Ladies, if you're out there, listen to this shit. Okay, look, Nikki's splashing you with some game. Her little cute ass, okay? She's telling you though, this is the most draining thing I've ever experienced. And she's not making this shit up. She's not. I'm sure she would love to just deny all that. But this never happened. You know how a lot of you know how it is. Like men, we're pretty much like, hey, well, we did this, we did that. A lot of ladies, like, they have a lot of little hidden skeletons in the hidden part of the closet. You know what I'm saying? That you'll never know about. And a lot of that you could just be like, well, that never happened. That's cool. But when it comes to this binding shit, I'm telling you, yeah, it's definitely not. It's not ideal. It's not ideal. It's not. I wouldn't. There's so many other ways to approach that type of a situation, magically speaking, than that. It's literally like tying yourself to somebody, and then if you are able to get rid of them and you push them off the boat, guess what? You're going with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, you are, but you always on time, brother Davis. You always on time. Yeah, look at Shaw. Shaw knows what I'm talking about. Shaw at hit. You know what I mean? They got like compartments and compartments and compartments. So you forgot about that time that you yeah. You left that one out. But yeah. Yeah, that's Phyllis, that's definitely not something you'd want. I don't think anybody wants that. I think when people get into like binding spells and stuff like that, they have this thing like that it's just going to keep that person there and in love with you. No, it just keeps them around, or it keeps them energetically. It keeps y'all energetic. Y'all are energetically bound. That's what it is. Y'all are bound. So the dynamics of the relationship could change, but guess what? You still bound. All right? You're still bound. You're still bound. Yeah, they left out that football team, Shaw. Well, there was that, but that never happened. Yeah, but you can't really, that never happened, that binding shit. It just, I wish there was like an easy answer to say, oh, well, if that's happened, just do this. 1, 2, 3. There you go. It's gone. But it's a constant thing. It's a consistent thing. Even when you think you've shook it, months later, there might be a reprise. A year later, there might be a reprise. And I don't mean that the person comes back and you reestablish. I'm just saying the effects of that, though. The effects on your psyche, yo. Yeah, I got to put my brother up there. See, bind it together with that Gorilla Glue. I ain't never lied, bro. I ain't never lied. No, you're absolutely right. Nikki, what'd you say? I think it's worse because we both decided to participate. Lord, girl, you bring it back memory. I already know what you're talking about. I know exactly what the fuck you're talking about. And you know what? I accept that there may be some shadow reverb, what is it? Reverb fucking echoes. Okay. There might be some shadow. I get it. I just, hey, okay. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think it's worth because we both decided to participate in the binding. Now the desire to exit is one-sided. Nikki 24, I'm curious, how long did you know this person before y'all agreed to do that? And whose idea was it? Can you please tell me the answer to those? I really want to know. Yeah. Yeah, it's something else, but and you know, it can be kind of scary when doing love work or dealing with anybody as a partner. Think about this just in a regular type of way. How well do you really know somebody? How well do you really know somebody? How many times have you heard, well, we've been married for 20 years and I didn't know this person, they were doing this for 10 years and I never knew about it, you know, coming home and I'm laying with them every day and shit like that. Like, do you ever really know somebody? You know, maybe you do, but a lot of times people have these masks. Like I said, we all have these masks that we put on. You know, if you're in a marriage and shit, then when you go home, you put on that mask. I guarantee you don't have that mask on when you out with the fellas or when you out with girls night. That mask is gone. There's another mask on. And that mask, who knows what the fuck that mask is going to do. That's my point. You know what I'm saying? Since childhood, the idea, hold on now. Let's get you up in here, huh? Since childhood, the idea developed from hood curiosity about bi lifestyle. Okay. So basically, y'all was like, hey, I think it'd be a great idea. What if we did this? Oh, okay. Are you down? Yeah, I'm down. You? Yeah. Fuck it. Okay. Did y'all mix blood and sexual fluids together? Yeah, shit go down when you at work, man. I'm saying, bro, like, and then like, I mean, this goes for both sides, right? But fellas, your broad or woman, she's at work 8 hours a day, 9-10 hours a day, around who knows what, you know. And you know, we have like these jokes in the meme world, right? The work boyfriend, no, but that shit's real. It's funny because it's true, you know. Let me see here. After his mother's transition, he changed. Yeah. I mean, certain things can happen that can bring about a change, right? Certain things can happen that reveal what's kind of been there, but like, you know, because you can know somebody for a long time and they're like, they still won't ever show you this side of them. You know what I'm saying? So it could have been either or. However, you know, I'm not going to comment on, I don't know, you know better than that. You can say what for sure, because you're one person with your friends, you're one person to the world. That's my point. And everybody is like that, you know, to some degree. We're talking about degrees now. Some have a very sharp degree, right? They are like literally a different person totally. Some people, that degree is not so sharp. It's, you know, they're a lot more closer than others, you know. I look for somebody who's honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look at little cues, because how you do anything is how you do everything. So I'm looking at shit that you don't even think now, especially, and this goes just with anybody, like whether it's a friend, whether it's like, you know, business, whatever, anything. I'm looking at other things too, because those are tells that are going to tell about other things, you know. Yeah, that fluid will do it. That do it fluid. Got that do it fluid. He says, I think it was suppressed, but not absent. He just did a good, exactly. That's my point. Yeah, exactly. There's an old saying, especially if you deal with somebody when they're in a real bad place, or, whatever, like, pay attention, because anyone can be cool or seem cool when everything's going good, right? But when things are really bad, that's when you want to pay attention. You know what I'm saying? What is that? Prophetess? Oh, Willow. I remember when I was in my early 20s, this married dude I worked with, I could have taken it there if I was that tight. Yeah, yeah. All day long. I mean, the fact of the matter is, you got a ton of people that are married that really have no business being married. Like, if they was really honest with themselves and shit like that, they wouldn't be married, but now they find themselves in a situation, Now you gotta lie. Now, unless you got some type of poly situation or whatever, then okay. I told my ex, what you see is what you get. We still friends. That sounds good. If that's true, then that's cool. If you're able to, a lot of women, especially everybody, but especially women, they have a thing about rejection. They have a thing about, so when people, I've noticed many women, not a lot, not all of them, but many, it's almost like, they revert into this kind of childlike type of thing where, how a child will lie, like at the drop of a hat to avoid an ass whooping or to avoid getting in trouble. They used to anyway. I don't know if kids still get in trouble anymore, but it's like those old ways will come back. You know what I mean? I'm a Scorpio. Okay. Yeah, the trust issues. I understand having the trust issues, but you must find a way, because what they end up being, it's kind of like, it's the same. It's like, you've heard the saying, right? Like, it's like having a great wall around your city, right? A great wall around your city provides a great defense, but at the same time, it can also act like a prison too. So, when it comes to trusting and stuff like that, yeah. Everyone's very guarded, I think. Phyllis says I'm very guarded. Yeah, I think a lot of people right now, a lot of people have been through a lot of shit by this point in time. Let's put it that way. So, always reading, what'd you say? Always reading between the lines helps me get to know your character before you present it to me. Right. This is what I want you to think of me. Right. Yeah, this is what I'd like you to believe about me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, everyone has their own timeline and things of when they, when they can resolve things or find it within themselves to say, hey, you know what? Let's give this another go. Sometimes a person may reach a point in time where they say, you know what? I'm not going to continue to live like this, right? Because essentially I'm really not living. I'm just kind of like existing, because I'm not saying you per se, Mahika, but I'm just saying depending on the severity of the trust issues. Because if you think about it, like just not trusting anyone, believing anyone, yes, I mean, to some, it is going to keep you safe, but at the same time, it cuts you off from all kinds of different things. You know what I mean? And in order to have a really good, fulfilling relationship, trust has to be there, right? Trust has to be there in some form or fashion, or else what are you working with? If you can't trust, right? What are you working with? So I don't know. But if you knew that you could trust without getting shit on, then you would, right? So once again, shadow work, man. That's what shadow work's all about. Exploring what it is that you truly believe is right. What do you believe is truly Well, first of all, what do you truly believe in? You know what I'm saying? Do you believe the world is a cruel place and that you can't trust nobody and that everybody is going to fuck you? You know what I'm saying? Like, and the thing about the beliefs is if you believe them, then you will find all the proof in the world and continue to find all the proof in the world that shit's true. There's nothing that's going to save you from that. Nothing's going to save you from your own beliefs. So the thing is creating new experiences and creating new beliefs based on, you know, things like that. But I guess it all depends on how you want to live your life, you know. There's no absolutely I would demand that you do that, Mahika. She'd say, I agree 100. It's just that I need to communicate and get to know. Absolutely. I think, you know, it's funny you say that because I think like a lot of people are in relationships. It's like after they bone like once or twice or three times, like next thing you know, it's usually her rolling over. What are we? I guess we're together, you know, and it's like, you don't even know this bitch yet. Like, and she don't even know you. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like people are so in a rush. Like, take your time. What's wrong with getting to know somebody? Take your time. Experience them in different situations and circumstances. Let them experience you in, you know, different circumstances and situations so you can get a more clearer picture of things. You know? Nicholas has a 3 strikes rule. See, Nicholas is generous. Some people have a 1 strike rule. You know what I'm saying? 1 strike and you are. I think to me it kind of depends on the infraction, right? And then it also depends on, is that person truly, let's say someone lies to you, right? But they don't lie about like cheating or anything, but they just lie, right? In some form or fashion. They told you a lie in the beginning, and then they come after like a month or 2, they're like, you know, I really like you, blah, 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 blah. And they say, I didn't want to tell you this because I thought you reject me, you know, if I told you this, right? So, all right, I can kind of understand maybe that, but at the same time, depending on the situation, I have found in my own personal, this is just for me, lies are like cockroaches, you know. Where you spot one, I'd bet money you're going to find others. But as long as the person, you know, that's a gray area. Like there's a lot of different variables that would influence that, I think. Yeah, take your time, you know. No, I understand that. He says, I like to give people a chance. So, I mean, yeah, of course you should, you know, you should give people a chance. And in giving a chance, take your time in giving those chances, you know. That's all. Willow, you got to expound on that. She say, I give 6 months rule. What is the 6 months rule? You have 6 months to fuck up. What if they can commit to the bit and carry on the act for 6 months? You know, what then? I tell you what, though, because I have learned, I have cultivated trust in myself, which I've never had in my previous life, in my earlier life, you know, that makes it a lot easier for me. You know what I'm saying? So, do I still attract liars or so? Like, I mean, of course, like a candle's going to attract good shit and it's going to attract moths and mosquitoes. So you just need to have your discernment up, you know, your third eye, so to speak, open, and trust your intuition, trust your vibes. Because when you trust yourself, your intuition goes through the roof. So your intuition ain't going to tell you wrong, right? Your intuition ain't going to tell you wrong. Now, you may have times where your old insecurities or fears start popping up because shit's getting too good. And it's like, man, this shit's feeling too good. And you start getting scared, So knowing the difference between your fears and your, limiting beliefs and your doubts and all that, and your intuition is critical, in my opinion. I think most people, one of their lies is the lie of omission or half truths. What is it? A half truth is a whole ass lie. So, But yeah, I mean, everyone has to find their own right way. And then you also, you got to be honest about this is what I'm going to say before we conclude. You have to be honest with yourself about what it is that you truly desire. What do you really want? Because I know a lot of people that want a relationship. They've just been soured by the events of the past, to where it's like they have this like real sour attitude. But really, the reason why they're so sour about it is because they truly do want that. You know what I'm saying? So being clear and being honest, at least honest about what it is that you truly want, right, is important. It's very important. 6 months to see if we're going to make it. Now, see, I got to get in your ass, Willow, just a little bit. Now, okay, so 6 months to see from the time that you meet. That to me is just like, hey, I guess we're kind of saying the same thing though. Like, so for you, to me, getting to know someone for a year is not a long time. That's like a fair amount of time, in my opinion. That's a fair amount of time. For some people, they're like, oh my God, we've been seeing each other for a year and like he hasn't proposed to me or he hasn't given me a ring or committed or some shit like that. Because I'm still learning who the fuck you are. Shit. I ain't buying no lemons. You have to be honest with yourself. Put Mahika back up on the wall of fame. You have to be honest with yourself and balance between your own insecurities and fears, and trust there is definitely, you got to be honest with yourself. And that's what I'm saying. I'm more likely to believe and to know that I'm going to attract. And I can tell you this, ever since I started being more honest with myself, I've been able to move through my world like a salve. Because I don't care if somebody doesn't, if I present what it is to you and you can't get with it, okay, I respect you for that. I'm giving you the truth, and you can just, if that's not for you, that's fine. Like I said, there's going to be another one. I can leave my house tomorrow and go find another one, or go run into 2 or 3 possible other ones. You know what I'm saying? It's not a problem. Look at Willow. A year? Yeah, a year. What's wrong with a year? That'll really give you a lens on what it is that you're dealing with. If you don't know patterns and things by a year, I mean, yeah, like I said, we're on cruise control here. Ain't no rush. If any broad is trying to rush, I'm like, what's the rush? What is the rush? What is the rush? But I'm going to tell you, man, you stop having this, because when you're out lying and you're out bullshitting, and especially when you're bullshitting with yourself and you're lying to yourself, that has severe consequences. Severe consequences. Let me repeat that one more time. When you're lying to yourself, when you're deceiving yourself, there's always a part of you that knows you're deceiving yourself. There are severe consequences for that. And if you're out lying to everybody else, like, liars think everybody else is lying. That's a fact. Con men think everyone's trying to con them. That's a fact. You know what I'm saying? So am I saying that just because I'm Honest Abe now, that, I don't cross paths with some kind of questionable people? No, of course I do. That's life, right? But my discernment and my intuition is so on point, it doesn't become a problem for me, because I don't allow it to become a problem. I don't allow myself to get wrapped up in those kind of problems anymore. I don't have time for that shit whatsoever. Where's the fire? Real shit. So like, I mean, that's what I mean. But I sleep very well at night. You know, I don't have to remember lies. I don't got to remember, oh, I told her that I was doing this and I told her I was doing it. Like, I don't got to do none of that shit. I sleep very well. And you know what? Conversely, fellas, you'll find women just start fucking like, it's like they're more attracted to you because, and I'm sure most of the women here, if you met, you just, okay, maybe he doesn't, he's not aiming for the same things you are, but you can definitely respect him when he respects himself enough to be honest with himself and honest with you. Like, what's fucking with that? As far as just like, you know, you're going to respect that, you know, you're going to respect that versus somebody trying to slick talk and, you know, sell wolf tickets and all this shit. That shit never works, dude. That shit's so weak. Thank you. See, Alex, so she's, what am I talking about? The truth is very refreshing. See, I'm not making this shit up. Like, it's real. It's very, actually very simple, you know? And you're also being fair, you know? You're being fair because you're giving that other person a fair chance to either, you know, continue to see you for however long it works until it doesn't work, right? We can see each other, you know, it works now, and let's keep doing it until it don't work. All right. It's real simple. Facts. When I started telling the truth, a lot more people think I'm lying, and I'm like, yeah, you're on a chopping block. Exactly. It's a weird phenomenon, but when you start getting just radically, brutally honest with yourself, and then you're honest to other people. I'm not saying you got to be an asshole and be abrasive in your truth. You can be cool and, you know, be eloquent when you express your truth, but you're going to find that your ability to see bullshit is like magnified 1,000 times 1,000. Like it's crazy, you know, it's crazy. That's every woman, I think. I think every woman shares this particular feeling. So I'm going to put you again on the wall of fame. Also, I don't want someone telling me stories and writing checks they can't cash because they think that's what exactly. It's irritating. It's like, you know, from a man to a woman to be like, bitch, just tell the fucking truth. What is it? What am I dealing with here? You know what I'm saying? Fuck all this smoke screen shit. Like, what is it? When people start lying, then it's hard to believe. Lies are very damaging, yo. Lies are very damaging. If you care about that person or whatever, you're trying to have some type of relationship or a committed situation or whatever, like, it's very damaging. It's damaging because they can't believe you, but then what a lot of women don't realize is happening is they lose respect. They lose a lot of respect. Yeah. See, even PG, she's chiming in to see, I told you. Yeah, it's extremely attractive to see a man be honest. Like, yeah. And you know why a lot of people, why the lies and shit though? Everyone's running around afraid of being rejected for who they really are and what that means to them. That's what people are really afraid of, you know. But really, it's like, you're not really rejecting me, but if I'm showing you what it is as far as you and I are concerned, and that's not something you can do, I'm presenting what I can do. Okay. I might only be able to give you like this much of my time, but I will give you 100% of this of my time. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be the best this much of my time that you could ask for, you know? Yeah. Nicholas Davis says there's nothing cool about being known as a, it's corny as fuck. I think it's just corny as fuck now. I remember back in the day, game used to be associated with lying, like, oh, he got game and shit, meaning he's a good liar, right? But that's not the epitome or the essence of game. at all. True game is actually the truth. You know what I'm saying? That's a good point, bro. This right here. Sometimes people reject themselves because they can't play. Oh, they will X themselves out clear. That's what I was talking about, like how when you're walking in your truth and you're comfortable in your own skin, you're cool with that. Hey, this is what it is. This is what it is. Yay or nay. It's one. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to cuss you out if you say no. It's fine. You know, I'm not even going to take it personal. I don't even ask that anymore. I used to ask that years ago, but now it's like when someone asks you, what you looking for? Just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I want you to admit, yeah. Yeah. And plus, like, you know, a lot of times, a lot of these weak ass dudes will ask you, what are you looking for? And then they'll try and fabricate an image or a character that kind of like fits to that. But that shit's fake. That's fugazi. You know what I'm saying? That shit's fucking GMO shit. Yeah, exactly. I've turned no's to yes, but it's not like I'm high pressuring, you know? So it's like, you know, or if it stays no, okay, cool. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal, man. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal at all. But anyways, thank you so much. It's my time to eat. I got to eat. It's already 11. We done did an hour and a half here. I want to say thank you to everybody who showed up today, who's engaging in the chat. Like I said, if you have any love stories not love stories, love spell stories gone bad, I would love to hear about your personal experience, you know, like what you did and then what happened, how did it go bad, you know, leave it in the comments, or you can even email me at askshangoraynow@gmail.com. Who knows, I might make a Tales from the Occult Side out of you. You know. Ale Soul says, what you looking for as a sales tactic? Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, or trying to get you, what is it? What's the other one? What are your, what's the word for it? Help me out here. What are your, when they have a problem with what you're saying, you know, what are your disagreements with, or you know what I'm saying? Like, get that out there so that way you could do some jujitsu on it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Hey, thank you, Willow, Phyllis, Mahika, Ale Soul, Brother Davis, Shah, who was here, new occult classics. If I'm missing anybody, I didn't mean to miss you, but yeah. So everybody here, everyone who showed up today, like I said, got a few more hours. So if you're interested in getting that 7 power MUERTE miracle bag, this is the time. This is the rubber hits the road, right? This is the rubber hits the road time. So I'm going to pull the page, or probably not pull the page, but I'm going to put, as far as that part goes, I'm going to take the buy button down for that. You'll still be able to get into the ritual until about, I think, Thursday or Friday. So if you want to just join the ritual, you could do that too, or you can actually do both. Okay, you can actually do both. Get that thing, because that thing is going to be in the ritual getting juiced up there. All right, so peace to everybody. Appreciate you. It's a great conversation, and I think a lot of people would benefit if they could hear, you know, so especially with the binding shit. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that if I was you. And yes, I even offered binding before too, and I've caught a little story about that too. You know, because if you're not sure about the person, I mean, if you're sure about the person, why would you want to bind? If you really think about the psychology behind it, why would you want to do that? Right? Why would you want to do that? But anyways, so see you on the next broadcast tomorrow. Tales from the Occult Side, new episode coming out tomorrow. So be sure to check that out. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be some shit you've never heard of. Okay. And it's related to the occult. All right. So Hey, Nikki 24, we're all young and dumb. We all did stupid, just made bad decisions, you know. Good night, everybody, and we'll see you again tomorrow, right? Peace.